Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the City of Sunbury Council meeting. It's March 4th, 2026, 7:30 p.m. Would you please join me in a moment of silent prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance? Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor St. John.
Here.
Mr. Capel.
Here.
Mrs. Cooper. Here. Mrs. Crawford. Here. Mr. Ghost.
Here.
Mr. Grumney is absent. Mr. Long.
Here.
6 present. We have quorum.
All right, first item that we have on the agenda is a public hearing. We have stenographer Sarah Clark online with us. Can you hear us, Sarah? Good deal. Thank you. And this is for the expansion of the Sunbury New Community Authority related to D.R. Horton. I'm going to hand it to our legal counsel, Mr. David Breen, to give just some foundational materials related to the public hearing and including swearing in anybody that wishes to testify related to this public hearing. With that said, Mr. Breen, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have some exhibits we'd like to mark and enter into the record. Exhibit A is the notice of the public hearing. Exhibit B is the consent to add property to the Sunbury New Community Authority District. Exhibit C is the declaration of covenants, restrictions, and agreements. I'd like to enter that as Exhibit C. So A, B, and C, I'd like to mark those and enter them into the record.
Great stuff. Thank you.
Do we have anything else to do?
That's the back.
That's just the background. Okay. And we'll start the public hearing. Anybody that thinks that they might testify as of this public hearing doesn't require you to testify, but please stand and raise your right hand to be sworn in by the court reporter.
Okay. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you'll present will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
With that, this is a application to add property to the existing new community authority, and we would offer. We do have attorneys for the applicant here. Do we have anybody that is here to testify? And if they can give a few remarks, we'll start with them.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. My name is Molly Gwynn. I am the attorney for D.R. Horton, Indiana LLC. Present with me also is Tiffany Ramp, the director of forward planning. And as this board is aware, this is 81 single family homes and 107 townhome units. And it's going to include private roads. The applicant did commit to some nice architectural design features for these homes as we worked through the process, as well as the extension of Kintner Parkway to the south to connect to Cheshire Road. And the status of our work, which I think is probably what everyone wants to know, is that we do have phase 1 paved. We are done and paved in phase 1. Very close on our water and sewer approvals, hoping to be in for building permits on phase 1 this month. And then the plan is to start phase 2 next month for paving. And that information is hot off the presses from our director of development and construction. So that is the status of the work out there. And I'll let Tiffany give a little bit of information as to our estimated average sales price if it's helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Molly. Thank you. So we have 2 products coming to the area. We're super excited to be in the community. The first product we're going to feature is the attached townhome. So the average square foot in that townhome project will be about $1,560, and the average sales price will be about $369,000. The patio homes are going to be detached on a patio, as we indicated. Average square foot on that product will be about $1,750. And the sales price on that would be about averaging $457,000. So wanted to give that information. This will also, as Molly mentioned, we'll have some private roads. Some maintenance will be taken care of by the HOA. So there will be a mandatory HOA that all homeowners, both townhomes and patio, will be required to enter into, and they'll have a monthly fee that will contribute to that budget. So any questions on the products or the sales price?
No questions yet.
Great.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody from the public who wishes to testify? All right, we'll open it up to questions from council. Any questions to the applicant?
No,
I
sir.
do want to mention that the applicant is petitioning the city to pay additional money to the city for infrastructure. I want to make that clear. That is responsible growth, paying for growth, and that is good. So thank you for being here and asking to pay us more.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, with that said, I'll move to close the public hearing, and I think I can do that on my own accord. All right, public hearing is closed.
Great, thank you.
This is on for a first reading later this evening. I told the applicant I don't expect we're going to take action tonight, so feel free to stick around if you wish, but feel free to vacate and enjoy your evening. Thank you. Have a good evening. Thank you. All right, we did have a meeting on February 18th, 2026, looking for a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Ghost. Second by Mr. Capel. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Ghost,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper.
Yes.
Mrs. Crawford,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
6 yeas, motion approved.
Great, thank you. We are into the visitor section. Are there any visitors that wish to speak with city council? Not this evening. All right, good deal. Thank you. We're on to committee reports. Mr. Gibbs.
Nothing here, sir.
All right, Mrs. Crawford.
Nothing.
Mrs. Cooper.
Yes. We had a Parks Committee meeting earlier today, and it was a packed one. I thought, I was like, I'm gonna have good statements.
Huh.
But we got out just in time. We talked about J.R. Smith Park. There's going to be, I want to say, a resolution on our agenda later for the contract for inspection. The group that we're going with has also done work for the city. They were the inspectors on the Columbus Street parking lot. Alyssa shared some super exciting news that we have received a grant to help with the playground equipment for J.R. Smith. So that was really exciting. We talked about a new idea that Amber and Alyssa had kind of come up with a while ago. And Alyssa's been looking into getting a grant for this too. And they're calling them play pockets. And what that means is around a trail, specifically the trail behind Jerry, putting in these pocket parks, which is basically just like one little thing for kids to play on. And she showed us some examples and they look like trees. They're and they look natural, but they're climbing structures. And it's just a little thing just to give the kids something else to do along the trail. They look really neat. She's working on a grant application for that and getting letters of support, and she's doing a lot of work with that. So it's really exciting. We also talked about, I think I had mentioned last time that we had applications in for Tree City USA and a growth award, and we have received both of those. And just for context, the Tree City USA, this is our 18th year in a row where we've received that award. So it's pretty cool. And then the growth award, which is when we've committed to putting in more money into our trees and not just planting new trees, but taking care of the trees that we have. We received that. And this is the second year in a row. We've received it 4 times total, but the other 2 times were like circa 2009. So Alyssa was saying that her and her team are really making that a priority now. So it was pretty cool. So that was about it. We do expect to at least two readings on that. Is it a resolution? It's probably a resolution later. So we won't be taking action, but I just wanted to give you a heads up. It's for that inspection.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Capel.
Yes, we had a services committee meeting immediately before this. Started off with some really good news regarding grants and funding again. Unlike Tree City USA, we've had a little bit of a drought with the OPWC funding, but we were selected this year for an award of $80,000 with a $20,000 loan, so $100,000 to focus on the Cherry Street and Morning Street intersection. That's the mountable curb that we talked about recently. Also on grants and funding, ODOT selected the city to receive a consulting services grant for active transportation plan. The way Carla described this is similar to our state Safe Streets for All application that we did last year. And then we've got ODOT safety funding application going in this year for $2 million for pedestrian elements of the State Route 37 widening project. In other updates, we talked about the 2026 street improvement plan. Very complex, very detailed. Encourage anybody interested in the street plan to listen to the meeting and get updates on that. We talked about Little Walnut Creek Intersectors Part 2A, which is out to bid on Friday the 13th. Cross your fingers. With construction planned to start in June and hopefully complete by October. Then they have started to work on the sanitary sewer lining for Cheshire with an ETA at the end of the month there. Had some more minor updates on Columbus Street parking lot, on City Fiber and the wastewater treatment plant. Again, a lot of information in those meetings, so encourage everybody to listen to. That's all I got.
Great update. Mr. Long.
Yeah, I can give an update on the zoning. We met on Monday last week on the 23rd. There was a reschedule actually of a request of a rezoning out on the east side of town due to an error in their paperwork. They looked to reschedule that. In addition to that, we reviewed and approved someone looking to add a front porch, a small front porch on the front of their house right in town here. And also someone was in to talk about home occupation for sitting pets, dogs, cats, so forth. They were asked to come back again with some additional letters from neighbors and so forth. And we had approved a Kittner Crossing final plat. I believe that's on the agenda for today. And then we had a full house. So that was that doesn't happen very often, but thank you to the police department as well with some crowd control as we were downstairs and up here as well, and had a lot of people talking. Just to express some of their concerns around the data center and the construction and such that is out on the east side of town. I do expect continued engagement from the public probably in the next zoning meeting scheduled for next month.
I want to thank the public too for coming out. I mean, they spent their time, and we had more than a packed house. This room was packed, downstairs was packed. I think we had folks outside. So, I mean, great engagement. We always kind of joke like nobody comes to our meetings. Not that exciting, but that one was. And honestly, I thought the crowd was extremely respectful in terms of just being orderly. There weren't too many people that went over the 3-minute, time limit. That 3-minute time limit is really just to be like a guardrail, and like we're treating everybody fairly. So, yeah, I hope it didn't come off that I was trying to shut people down or anything. It's literally just a fairness issue. So I thought the crowd was very well behaved. Thanks to the police, fire department, our staff for managing the logistics of that, putting extra agendas and paperwork, and then taking the feedback. So we're still analyzing that feedback, and I think it was really well done. All right. With that said, we're on to the city manager's report. Mr. Hennessy.
All right, so a lot to cover again this evening. So let me begin by introducing Sean Stannard. I think I've introduced him to everyone on the council, but to those who are in the room who don't know Sean, Sean is our new assistant city manager, comes to us via the city of Johnstown. We're fortunate to have him. You'll be working closely with him in the years to come. So the other items in the manager's report have mostly been covered, but let me just talk about a few updates on the services side, just some miscellaneous items that we've been working on for a while. One is we have installed a new guardrail at the cemetery, and it may not sound like that's much, but if you drive in the cemetery, there was a point at which it kind of pinches down near the creek. Very dangerous. The guardrail's been missing for at least 4 years. We did get that replaced, so happy to have that in place. We have installed some new crosswalk signs on North Miller Drive. This has been an issue that's been raised by residents, just trying to provide a little bit more notice of the crosswalks that exist on North Miller Drive because of the kids that are crossing there for bus stops and what have you. So that's just one step. As we talked about in the services committee meeting, we'll be doing other traffic calming efforts on North Miller Drive as well to create a safer road. So, but anyway, if you notice the new crosswalk signs, those are up there. And then finally, I would say we were asked to compile the costs associated with managing that significant snowstorm at the end of January. It ended up costing the city about $16,000 in sort of additional labor time and materials and what have you. We did submit that to the county. The county was trying to seek some state emergency funds. Unfortunately, the countywide investment did not exceed the threshold amount, so we're not going to get reimbursed for our share. But just FYI, I thought you might be interested in knowing how much we did put into that. So, all right, we're going to hear from a couple of the divisions in the police department, but I want to turn it over to Deputy Chief Wade, maybe just a little bit about the mural project. I think we have a video to share with you, and then we'll do the introduction of their officers. So just a little on the murals before we pull up the video.
Got some tissues, okay. Where you hit the play button.
Evening, Mayor and Council. So the mural project was the Chief Howard had reached out to the Big Walnut High School, their arts department. If you're familiar with the murals they've done at the VFW, Eagles, and along with other areas, they've supported businesses around town. They excitedly took on the challenge and presented several murals and kind of took some ideas from the officers, some fun, some serious, and some displaying obviously the history of Sunbury. And we're very proud of it.
All right, so we have a video of the kids at work.
I just want to mention a quick plug. So Michelle Maxon is a teacher. She is amazing. They've done this for Galena and some other places. These kids do amazing work, but it's I mean, with great leadership by Michelle Maxon. She's a personal friend, and she wanted me to ask other organizations, like if there's other places that they can do this, nonprofits specifically. I don't think like the Legion, VFW, places like that. They want to get on the books. So hopefully the public enjoys what the students have done, because it's amazing work.
I definitely give them great reference.
All right, let's see if this video works. All right, there you go. Good work.
So as far as like the engagement with the youth was amazing. The back and forth with the officers, the bantering back and forth. As you know, we have at least one member of our police department that is a huge fan of that team up north. And there might have been a Blocko painted in his area of his little work area. So he tried to remove it, but it ended up coming back again. So I have a feeling they may come back several times to make sure it stays. All right, without further ado, obviously with our division report, we broke it up again. This evening, we're going to be hearing from officer in charge, our officer, Morgan Lawbacher. Our OIC usually steps in when the sergeant is absent, days off. So the OIC step in. Morgan is one of those. He's taken on the collateral duty for our speed sign data, as well as he is a member of the Delaware County Tactical Team. So he's going to give a brief overview on those from 2025. And then Sergeant Meacham kindly stood up, and Sergeant Holden is off on medical. So he'll be presenting the patrol section for 2025 review of patrol. This is an extension of accountability and ownership in our police mission. And I think it's important to hear from others in our agency. So the chief agreed, and that's what we've asked these guys to do. And they volunteered, stepped up and took on the challenge. So first you'll be hearing from Morgan Wallbacher.
Who I see, officer in charge. Good evening.
Good evening. For those who don't know me, my name is Morgan Wallbacher. I'm an officer. I work a swing shift in the evening time, so I'm not really seen during the daytime. So for those of you who don't know me, hello. Sergeant Meacham and I are going to be speaking about a few of the things that we have within our department that aren't, you know, a part of normal everyday patrol basis. So to begin, I'm a part of the Delaware Tactical Unit, DTU for short. Put it in perspective, it's a SWAT team here within Delaware County that is comprised of several different jurisdictions. So it's multiple agencies, including fire and EMS. We do have Thames medics on our team. Some of them are Sunbury PD, Genoa Township, which is just south of us, Delaware County Sheriff's Office, Delaware City, Powell, Dublin, Westerville, just to name a few. DTU, we respond to several instances. A lot of you may think of high-risk search warrants or criminal barricade, but we also have other things that we are capable of. Some of those things are quick reaction forces for large-scale events. So, for example, if we have intel on Sunbury Sizzle and Sound or the 4th of July parade, we have QRFs, which is a quick reaction force that can come in and neutralize a threat if there is a issue during one of those events. Our training consists of 16 hours team training monthly, and we're recognized across the state as a tier 1 team with commitment to high standards, capabilities, and training. And having somebody from Sunbury, such as myself, not only strengthens the interaction between the team, but you know, I patrol these streets. I know the ins and outs of the streets. So what would benefit the team and also benefit the city as well. So for 2025, we had roughly 32 missions. We were also here during the Charlie Kirk event that was held here on the square. We provided a QRF. Nothing happened, thankfully, but we were here ready on standby just in case it were to happen. We also provided overwatch. So we had operators that were in elevated positions, basically overseeing the entire event that was going on here in the square. We provided a security detail and overwatch for the visitation and the funeral of the slain deputy, Daniel Shear, up in Moore County Sheriff's Office. I felt like that was the least that we could do for when they were going through a tough time up there. And we executed numerous search warrants throughout the county and adjacent counties this year, or this past year. Some of the benefits and challenges to having an officer on DTU, because it is a part-time team. Some of the knowledge and the tactics that I've learned, I have brought back to the patrol officers who may not have access to that training and tactics, and shown them, you know, anything from traffic stops to room clearing, just overall general safety. In preparation for criminal barricades and search warrants, knowing what the officers need if a situation were to arise where a criminal barricade does develop, having them gather the information that's needed, making it as safe as possible for the surrounding residents, and kind of just informing them of what needed to be done. And then, like I said before, you know, being a liaison between Sunbury Police Department, the city of Sunbury, and the team, because you have all those other agencies within the team that, you know, don't know Sunbury. So being there and being able to assist them makes everything a lot smoother. Some of the challenges is overtime, not only for me, but also for the other officers. If I have to step away or I'm pulled away for a mission, now we have a vacancy in the patrol staffing. So having other officers that have stepped up and been able to help out. And then also equipment and training costs. Equipment, as you can see from that picture, it's not cheap. but being able to be a part of this team, it comes with a little bit of a price tag. But I do think it is for the greater good. The next topic I want to talk on is radar signs. So in 2025, Officer Collins and Officer Blanton have joined the program with Sergeant Holden, who's placed as a supervisor over the program. Signs are moved based off of complaints and traffic complaint software. 2 signs were added, giving us a total of 4 to place throughout the city roadways. Officer Collins and Blanton oversee 1 sign each, while I manage the 2 others. Data collection provides valuable information, providing specific facts in the volume of traffic with dates and times. Each officer is responsible for data pulling, battery changing, and relocation of the respected signs. The data is pulled from the sign and organized and presented to council, usually on the first council meeting of each month for the previous sign locations. Data is stored in a folder accessible to all officers to be able to research in times of locations where major speeding offenses occur. Deployment can sometimes be a tedious task. Some of these factors, which I've talked about before when I've spoke to you guys about these radar signs, are listed. Weather conditions requiring officers to be out in sub-freezing temps with 18 inches of snow. And if equipment falls while we're changing these signs, it'll be lost until the snow melts. So some of those bolts are small and can be fallen lost. Or if it's a heavy rainstorm, you know, if they get put down a gutter, that's not good. So speed signs and our daily patrol functions. We've organized the data to be able to make it easier to read. We pull it from the sign, put it into a software, and then from there it's laid out and made nice and easy to read for other officers or council members. When people pass the signs, they see their posted speed and tend to slow while on that roadway, so they are of a benefit other than just giving you guys numbers to look at. But sign deployment does deter the speed, as we've seen, and they can authenticate or disprove complaints. We've had complaints where people call in and say, hey, there's people doing 100 miles an hour down my roadway. Well, one, that's not possible with the roadway, but the sign backs it up and is able to prove that, you know, they aren't doing that. So for the future of our program, we want to develop a program that's better communicates the speed data results amongst patrol. Right now, if somebody's curious about it, they can either go into the attachments folder or, you know, come see one of the officers that are in charge of the signs. But we're gonna try and do a better try and do better at disseminating that matter or the data to other officers. Possibility of permanent sign placements with solar panels, such as the picture you see, to not have officers changing the sign batteries, and then also adding more officers to the team.
Before Morgan goes, the DTU side of it, the selection process is pretty tedious. To give you an idea, a tier 1 team are mostly Columbus, Cleveland, Cincinnati. These are your full-time teams that train together every day. Has a minimum requirement of like 26 members, the various factions of operators on the team. Specifics to reach that tier 1 status for a multi-jurisdictional team is extraordinary. So they have to maintain very high standards, a lot of training, and a lot of specific things in their element that they can deal with that are unique. Roping, certain breaching techniques, and a bunch of other things that goes into it. So he's pretty humble about it, but I was part of the selection process or the council and reviewing it. And he did an exceptional job with it and achieving that. That was a great personal challenge for him. And so wasn't being a patrol, from being DTU to radar signs. There might have been a reason behind that, but he's doing a great job with that as well.
Do you guys have any questions about BTU or the radar sign before I turn it over to Sergeant Meacham?
Can I just give Laubacher a little bit of credit, and E-Bright's in here too. When we were testing out the new phasers, oh man, those two were the guinea pigs to make sure they worked, and they worked. Thank you.
Well, I'll try to follow up all that cool SWAT stuff. I'm going to present the give you a little insight on patrol and things we encountered throughout the year. Currently, I apologize, I'm Chris Meach, I'm like I know most of you, third shift patrol sergeant. Currently on patrol division in the Sunbury Police Department, we have 13 full-time officers and 3 part-time that are assigned to patrol specifically. Patrol is where most law enforcement officers they begin their career at. Though also most will tell you that it is the backbone of an agency. Patrol are the men and women that interact on a daily basis with your public, your constants. We hired 3 officers this past year. Officer Frost, Officer Robinson, and Officer Newsom. So we're gonna obviously continue to need to hire more officers with the rapidly growing community that we serve.
Are they all full timers?
They are, yes. They're all full-time officers. They're rotating shifts currently. We rotate them up throughout the year and also in the FTO program as well. So they'll get a feel of what every shift has to offer.
From left to right, it's happiest, happier.
I
was just getting ready to say that. You got 1 year, brand new out of college, and 20 years.
Exactly. Yes.
Well, that's right.
Well seasoned.
I love those guys.
This past year, we participated in numerous trainings. Everyone has been through some type of active shooter training. Different agencies put it on, but everyone, I think there's one of the newer officers that has not been through any type of active shooter training. So we've all been through that. We coordinate with fire, go through, you know, God forbid that it ever happens, but you know, school shootings, things of that nature, we trained on. And then most of our officers are CIT certified, which is the crisis intervention training down there at the bottom. Just dealing with people that are having, you know, mental breakdown or just, you know, need some type of assistance, whatnot.
Just curious question on the active shooter training, like
Sure.
for schools, do you actually train like after hours inside of a school building, or how do you do that?
We have, not necessarily, most of it's, we've done it, I believe we've done it in what, Audubon, churches. I didn't mind at the fairgrounds, so different. It's hard to get, you know, training scheduled because most of it's during business hours and obviously we have school and whatnot. We've done, building search training and whatnot at Big Walnut in schools in the past. So we have trained in schools. Again, just some of our in-service training. I'm not going to go through all of it, but just gives you an idea of what we've been doing throughout the year. Some of the things that Chief Howard and Deputy Chief Wade were able to provide us to accomplish our, perform our jobs. Med kits has been a big one. Officer Ebright put together all these med kits you see here. That machine there is our new intoximeter machine. The state of Ohio required all agencies to go to this new machine. Basically, it's your breath test for OBIs and whatnot. So that came with a pretty lofty price tag, but we're also, most of us are certified to use that machine.
About $75,000 or something.
It went like that much.
Seriously?
14,000.
Oh, good deal. On discount.
Yeah.
So,
These are some of our community engagements that we do throughout the year, and these really stay the same for the most part. We obviously want to get quite a bit of these in throughout the year. Obviously, when people have contact with the police officer, usually there's something that hasn't gone their way, or they have, you know, something bad happen to them, or they're being pulled over. So we like to do some of these throughout the year just to break up the monotony of our profession and let everyone know, let the public know that, you know, there is fun behind meeting us.
Mhm.
So these are probably one of the biggest things that you guys will be interested in is our calls for service. As you see, the red is the uptick. Total calls were 1,007 more for the year compared to 2024. Traffic stops, 625 more, crashes 20, citations that have been issued are up. Stolen vehicles, big ones domestics, those rose substantially. Really no rhyme or reason that we could give why. But our main goal for patrol is we enforce traffic laws to prevent accidents. As you can see, we had substantially more traffic stops, however, we had 20 more crashes. That's just the nature of what comes with more people in a certain area. We all know that we're growing at a substantial rate, so we're gonna have, these numbers will continue to rise.
Are they all within the city limits or is that including some help that you do?
The calls
outside?
for service, so we assist Delaware County and other township. So the calls for service are, but traffic stops we can obviously only enforce within the city limits and crashes and everything else. The domestics, I'm not sure the number, but some of those, very few, we would be assisting Delaware County. I would say maybe roughly between 5 to 10 are related to outside our city. The FTA program, obviously, it's a very important aspect of our agency. Especially when we had, like I said, 3 new hires this past year. Sergeant Holden is the one that is the supervisor FTA program. Officer Lawbacher and Officer Plummer were sent through and attended a week-long, right? That's what mine was. A week-long course to be a field training officer, to be certified. Any of our field training, any of our FTOs, they're certified. They've been through the week-long program. Officer Lawbacher and Officer Plummer did an excellent job of training 3 new hires. So I think Officer Ebright is going to attend the week-long training here soon and become our 3rd certified or our 3rd field training officer. Adding Officer Ebright. So that's the future of what they wish to accomplish. That's all I have. If y'all have any questions.
The only thing I wanted to add in there is like, you'll see a lot of interagency training. That's extremely important. So when you see Rescue Task Force and you see these agencies training with us, if we have an active shooter, as we had the swatting situation in downtown, I can't even count the number of agencies that were here. And if we don't train together, that's chaos. So in trying to manage that from a command side, that's very difficult. And this training with these officers engaged, the first person on the scene and second person coming in is starting to set up command right away. You know, so that these people that's coming in, we can direct resources efficiently. Otherwise, everybody's going to the same thing. And it looks like a little kid's soccer game, chasing the ball around, right? So that's been a common theme of that. And then obviously our community engagements. And we want to thank the city for being able to help support getting new equipment and getting everybody trained up with the equipment. And then lastly, with DTU, I know he had mentioned his equipment was expensive, and it is, but for the taxpayers and people to understand, some of our forfeited assets that we have from our commitment to the Delaware County Drug Task Force was able to assist with purchasing that equipment because it does lend to the enforcement of drug problems as well. So without any further ado, if there are any other questions for us, we'll try to answer them for you.
Questions, comments? Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you, Sergeant. Thank you, officers. 2 other things before I turn it over, and that is in the manager's report, I did want to report $43,000 grant for body worn cameras. I know we've talked about a lot of other grants that the city has gotten. We don't often talk about what's happening in the police department, so good news on that front. And then you see there is a request in for some a grant related to bulletproof vest. I haven't gotten that one yet, right?
The grant vest does have a match to it, but it's a very small amount. It's, I want to say 75 or 80% funded. So, and then the body worn camera grant is 0 match. That's 100% funded.
There you go.
I was just thinking it might be a good time to think about, a couple of years ago, the council did some sort of police training. I wouldn't call it a police training, but we went to an event where we learned a tiny bit about what it's like to be an officer. And it's been a couple of years. I don't remember, Mr. Capel, if you were at that.
I did the one before.
You did the one before that.
And-
Okay, so we have some new council members. It's been a couple of years. We might want to think about getting on some sort of every X amount of years doing that.
Was it every month, once a month?
It's a really good experience and it's eye opening because they don't go easy on you, at least from my perspective.
No.
Go easy.
So that might be something that we think about.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Getting on the books.
Oh, yeah, Mark Long.
The only thing I would add is if you decide to send Miss Stefan,
Yeah,
she may have to raise her right hand and you may lose a finance director.
I forgot. She did
Yes.
that with us too.
She did it last year and,
That was really good.
she's an aggressive officer and
She was. Get out of the car now.
Yeah, and we have a new assistant city manager,
Oh,
so
yeah.
we have some new staff. It just might be a good time to start thinking about that because we'll want to do it when it's nice out, so.
Do it. Good deal. Anything else, Mr. Hennessy?
that's it.
Any questions for Mr. Hennessy? All right, we are on the resolutions, no third reading. Second reading, resolution number 2026.05. A resolution approving the pavement management group relating to pavement assessment and pavement management services. Just a reading, first readings, resolution number 2026.06. A resolution approving the expansion of the Sunbury New Community Authority District to include the Kintner Crossing Phase 1 development and declaring an emergency. That was what we talked about earlier, just a reading. Resolution number 2026.07, a resolution approving construction administration inspection services with Environmental Design Group relating to the J.R. Smith improvements. Can we just double check the language on the first reading for the NCA and that emergency is not required?
Okay.
I don't believe it's a resolution.
Great call. Yep.
Okay, thank you. And then we are on to ordinances, no third reading, no second reading. We have first reading ordinance number 2026.06, an ordinance approving the final plat for Kintner Crossing Commercial and declaring an emergency. No action needed. New and unfinished business, Sunbury State of the City Address, March 25th, 2026, 6:30 PM at Big Walnut High School. And Mr. Long, any new or unfinished business?
Nothing here.
Mr.
Yeah, I wanted to share that on Tuesday morning, I went to the Delaware County Housing Alliance and Alex was there and our intern was there as well. And I've been to some of these, I don't know if it's through the United Way. That's how I found out about it with Kelsey Fox. It's sort of in their field. And they had, they sort of did like a student-led one. So it was interesting. They had a young woman from Ohio Wesleyan University who had competed in a contest and she was sharing her project and she called it Grad House and it was for Ohio Wesleyan University students. And what it was meant was sort of to help them go from being college graduates and then helping them to own a home earlier than they are now. So she said in the 70s, the average first-time homeowner was 28, 29 years old, and now today they're 40. And so they're trying to help with that. And so what it would be, what she is proposing is like a tiny home community would be like 10 to 16 tiny homes, and they would be on some sort of renting. They would be renting the homes, but they would be, whoever would be in charge of this would be taking some of the rent money and then they would be saving it for them, investing it. And then when they're done, they come out with like $14,000-15,000 to put towards a down payment of a home. So it was really interesting. And then they also had DACC was there. And I know you and most of us we're all big supporters of DACC. So it was really cool to see them. They had their training construction group there, 3 students. And they were showing some pictures and stuff of what they have, like awesome space over there in DACC. If you haven't been over there, to get a tour is really cool. And what they often do is throughout the year, they do these fake projects. And then at the end of the year, they demolish them and then they start over. And so the teacher was really like, how do we help these kids like get some real purchase over what they're doing? And so they are making a tiny home. They're making two in at DAC, real tiny home that they have sold already. And so someone's going to buy this, and they're creating a tiny home, and they're creating a tiny salon, like a hair salon that someone bought. And the students talked and gave presentations about like the skills they're learning and how they find it really, they find so much value in working on a home that someone is really going to live in, and or the other one really going to work in. So it was kind of cool. And then just one other thing that I found interesting, just on a personal level, is that you may have heard of this, that there's I think it's called St. Vincent New Beginnings in Delaware, and DC, you probably have heard of them. They're a new men's homeless shelter. And they've been, I mean, my husband was involved with this group like 5 years ago. They've really like from the ground up trying to make this men's shelter there isn't any exclusively men's homeless shelters in Delaware County. And so it's been kind of cool to watch them. So they came to kind of just share about what they're doing. So it was very cool. It was nice to see Alex and Chantria.
Chantria.
Yeah, it was a cool meeting. So I just thought I'd share.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Mrs. Crawford?
Yes, I wanted to mention that Mr. Long and I went to training a week and a half ago for newly elected officials. And it was very informative. It was a lot of information crammed into a day, but totally worth it. And one of the big takeaways for me was how impressed I am with how well our city is doing. We heard some horror stories of just other municipalities around the state, and I felt pretty good about Sunbury and the direction we're headed. So, yeah.
Sometimes we don't know how good we have it.
Yeah.
There's 81 counties out of the 88 that are declining in population. More people are dying than are being born. We're not one of them. Mr. Gross?
Yeah, I did have the opportunity to take a tour of the new fire station under construction with Chief Kovach a couple weeks ago. Overall, I think he's pretty happy with it, as the rest of the department is. They're still on track, I think. They're still trying to shoot for an April grand opening, but that's kind of, I don't know, remaining optimistic. I'm thinking it's probably going to be closer to May, but we'll see. But it's impressive. It's impressive. Nice building, good building.
That's awesome. Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right, I just had a couple comments, and this won't be the last time I make comments on this topic, but it's just around the public angst around, I'm gonna say data centers, but also new development, planned industrial district, things that the community over the past month or so has really become in tune with, and asking a lot of really good questions, things that Planning and Zoning Commission members, City Council members, staff, obviously, have been working on for many years now. Have now, like, I mean, it's good that everyone is engaging and asking really good questions, but I do have, these are fairly informal comments, so just bear with me. And it's not intended to prove a point. It's just intended to be an assessment of what I think some of the angst is and what the city is doing. So I think most of the angst around development really comes down to uncertainty, especially if you can't see it with your own eyes, or it's something new that we haven't done before. People just want to know what the rules are and who's making those rules. They can be trusted and the rules are being followed. And what happens if something goes wrong? That's fair. I'd want to know the same thing if I hadn't spent the last 5 years getting to know our city leaders and, the property owners and our school leaders who are really up against a crunch point when it comes to school funding. Our fire department, who is growing, but oftentimes is looking for new funding sources. This planned industrial district is intended to attract companies that will plant deep roots and become part of our community, kind of like Hitachi Astemo, formerly Showa, or Ohashi, companies that have been here for 30 years and have expanded several times. I mean, that's kind of the thought. It's just, as you're building new residential units, they're putting demand on police, fire, schools in particular, libraries. You have businesses that are paying into the system that are not as impactful. And, I just want to mention that I'm confident in our leadership, but even more confident, more so that planning and zoning, not only the people that are on the Planning and Zoning Commission now, but our staff that supports us, we're going to listen to everybody and every concern that comes forward. And we're going to do our best to address those. I think we have addressed many of the concerns, specifically when it comes to noise and lighting and things like that. The reality is there's a bigger shift really at play in our nation. And I mean, if you watch the news in the world right now, the country is investing heavily in digital infrastructure, and Ohio happens to be in a really strong position for that. And in some regards, it would be foolish to pass up that opportunity when we have a lot of positive momentum, pass it to Michigan or Indiana or wherever. I'm not saying you have to agree with the president, but if you listen to our president of the United States, like the war for digital infrastructure and artificial intelligence and hyperscalers and computing power is literally going to be the game changer in terms of like world politics. Okay, so take his word for it, not mine. It's not really up for our little town to decide. Okay, what is up to us to decide is how we handle it. So the challenges that we have around school funding and fire department and tax-based diversification, those are in our court. They're in the Planning and Zoning Commission's court when we talk about creating new zoning districts and trying to set up a framework that attracts businesses that are going to plant deep roots. It's happening, so we have to figure out how we best operate within the confines of that reality. So how do we make it work for us being the residents of Sunbury and Delaware County? We set standards, we enforce setbacks, we measure and enforce noise issues, we measure lighting issues, we set standards around opacity, which is basically like how much of the building you can see, how much you can't, mounding, landscaping. We plan roads and utilities before projects move forward. One reason that we haven't put out like visuals is because we really don't have any at this point. I mean, yeah, we have some sewer capacity planning, studies and effluent water reuse, which is basically our wastewater that goes out, how to potentially reuse that for industrial pooling. But, in terms of like a fully baked roadway plan, we don't have that. And one of the reasons we don't have that is there's just not a huge urgency to have that right now. Bottom line is Amazon is the only real player that's bought land in the industrial park. And AEP has told us that they will not have power until 2031 unless something dramatically changes. So in our minds, we've got time to plan this out. I understand there's a big push from the public to get information now. I wish we had it. I wish we could show them a site plan. We don't have that. Amazon doesn't have that because they don't know, are they going to have detention ponds and whatever? I don't know, but they don't have it probably because they have sites that do have power and they're focusing on that. That's what I guess is happening. We ensure the safety and residents are kept at the center of every step moving forward. And if something doesn't meet the standard, it doesn't move forward. Developers know that, and that's the reality. Not every municipality does a great job of enforcing all of that, but Sunbury does, and we will. I've always believed that growth should be structured, not chaotic. And that's what this is. It's the public process playing out over a decade period. And 5 years to kind of set the framework, 3 or 4 to plan it out and be more specific. And eventually, something will manifest in and around that business park. That is the reality. It's our job to shape it. What I want folks to understand is it's been intentional that it's been planned industrial for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's next to the largest AEP substation in the entire country. That's the Vassal substation right now. The work that they're doing out there, I've heard it say like they're preparing for Amazon and Sunbury. That is not true. The truth of the matter is they're primarily like enhancing the reliability of the overall power grid in our region, but they're also supplying power for Intel. At least that's what I've been told. It doesn't have anything to do with the Sunbury site. As far as water, Nobody is going to drill wells to get the amount of water that they're talking about potentially needing. They aren't going to be drilling into aquifers. And I'm 99% sure that any company that lands out there is not going to be purchasing drinking water from Delco to cool anything because of the cost. And the cost is in the realm of not just tens of millions of dollars, but hundreds of millions of dollars worth of infrastructure to bring that amount of water in. And no business model is going to support that. It doesn't matter how many data centers or hyperscalers or light industrial buildings or vitamin manufacturers, whatever we ends up ending out here, it's not going to be drilling into any aquifers or the quarry or anything like that. It's just, it will not happen. The other thing I wanted to say is this: over the past 8 days since we had the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, I've obviously done a lot of thinking about this. I'm sure many of our staff have. Planning and Zoning Commission council members. It's obviously when the community's angst is high, ours is too, and we want to get this right. So I know the applicant has reached out. Their deadline to file to be on the March 23rd meeting was yesterday. They missed that. They actually asked to not be on the agenda, and I think they maybe even asked our permission. We're like, yeah, it's fine. Like, you're gonna, like, it's okay. We want to take this slow and make sure that we're getting it right. So there was a lot of feedback from the public. I think there were some key categories: energy, water, noise, lighting, pollution, long-term health effects, property values. I mean, I'm just throwing these off memory, but those were kind of the big categories. I'm probably missing a couple. And those are big enough categories in like the grand scheme of things that it's probably a good idea we pump the brakes for a minute and just make sure that we're all, going into this eyes wide open. This doesn't affect just residents of Sunbury. It obviously affects, the broader Big Walnut area. And as much as I respect property owner rights and being able to take it through the process, that doesn't mean we're going to cram it down the public's throat by any means. So this is a really good time to pull up, check to make sure we're doing things correctly. Probably my main concern more than anything is the health impacts. That's, I put Amazon in particular on alert to that, even though Amazon is not really up for what's being discussed in the Planning and Zoning Commission. I want to be really clear about that. There's some issues that are being conflated, but there were enough of those issues brought up that I want to meet with individual residents who have who've stated some of the concerns, especially around like miscarriages and childhood asthma and those things. I mean, those are very those are situations that we should take very seriously. But I need to see the data. I want to see these studies, and I want to meet with the public that has said those things. I've done my own research just to the degree I can, but I want to make sure that Amazon and any other experts we have can weigh in on this. They should at least have the opportunity to be able to say, you know what, yeah, we've seen this in other areas. We should also have some independent research done on our behalf that make sure we get this right as well. With all that said, to distill it down to one point, March 23rd, we will have a Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. The applicant for, I forget what the property owners' names are, but they will not be here for that particular rezoning application, perhaps in April. I don't know. It depends how much wood we can chop and how many answers we can get in the next 30 or 60 days. But I don't think that the applicant is in a big rush, in my opinion. I mean, they were the ones that said, hey, we understand there's some public consternation and we want to make sure that they're addressed.
Yep, absolutely right.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll continue to keep the public posted on when the application is received, and the public notice will go out accordingly. But yeah, it won't be the March meeting.
I haven't had a chance to really talk to hardly anyone about this. Council members want to offer anything, but I mean, this is a good time. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, direction, or if you think we're heading in the wrong direction, I want to know that now. And not like say your piece or forever hold it. That's not what I'm saying. But if you have something, please let's like talk about it as a group.
One question I know one of the main concerns about water cooling, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Can you speak a little bit in more great detail about what the source of the water is they're looking at in terms of doing the cooling?
Amazon in particular is looking at doing what's called effluent reuse. And effluent reuse is taking water that currently is coming from other places, let's say in the city, going into our wastewater sewer, getting processed and going into Big Walnut Creek, ultimately into Hoover Reservoir. They're talking about taking that and we would actually create a new utility, hypothetically, that would get non-potable water. It would not be drinkable. It would be for industrial cooling. They have specifications that it can be used for industrial cooling, similar to like water that can be used for golf courses and agriculture. It's not for human consumption. I mean, there's some treatment that would need to happen. All of this would be on Amazon's dime or the development community's dime. This would not be paid for by the public. And I think in their minds, it's a cost benefit. Like Delco can't provide the amount of water they need for the price that they would need. So they need to come up with another option. I think the numbers I've heard is maybe they can get it for 60 cents on the dollar because you don't have to clean it all the way. But that's based on information you can find on the internet.
So based on that, I know there's concerns out there about utility bill increases because of the water use and the power use. Based on that potential system and what you know about that or what they've told you, how does that affect the public's use of the current Delco water? Will that harm? Do you see the bills going up because of that, or is it totally separate?
I mean, first of all, I haven't talked to Amazon in probably 6 or 9 months, except when I called their government affairs director yesterday morning and requested an on-site tour. Other than that, I've not talked to anybody from Amazon in 6 to 9 months. The bottom line is I think that I forget power for a second because I don't know the answer to that. On water, the only thing they would be using drinkable Delco water for would be, like bathrooms and normal uses that any business would use it for. So not for cooling. The answer I think to your question is, and I'm probably outside of my lane on this, is it wouldn't impact like the rates of other people because there would be a normal user paying normal rates for normal usage of water.
And part of their filtering system, I think, involves, if I remember correctly, it's been a couple of years, but some of the tertiary filtering that's being installed at the new plant,
Yeah,
right?
so that would happen at our plant. That's right. So there are two things, and again, we're just at the very early stages of the engineering on this. So there's still a lot that needs to be decided. But what you're remembering is we added tertiary filters to the wastewater treatment plant as a way to provide additional filtering of our system. But a lot of that was actually due to what we were going to dump into the creek, and I should say release into the creek under our existing NPDES permit with the Ohio EPA. So the tertiary filters just help pull additional chemicals and compounds out of the water before it went back into the creek. And it'll help us long term because we've got the load limits that we're allowed to place into the creek are not increasing despite the fact that we're putting more flow through the system. So the tertiary filters were basically needed to pull more of those compounds out of the water. So that's sort of one thing that's happening, but you also might be thinking about a method called reverse osmosis as well. That's an additional treatment of the effluent that'll happen on the site before it goes back out to the user, in this case, Amazon, for recooling purposes. So there are a couple of different new processes that'll be happening in our plant if this whole process goes through. And they do different things, but ultimately, yeah. The effluent that we send back to them will be treated, but it won't be treated to the same level as it would be treated if it were placed back into the creek. And I would agree with the mayor's assessment that it should have no impact on the water rates for residents. Electricity is kind of a different matter, and we talked a little bit about that in the frequently asked questions.
Right.
Yeah, the power thing, I mean, first of all, you've probably seen at least like the highlights from the State of the Union last week around like these big data center hyperscaler providers. The president is ordering them to pay for their power generation. I mean, I don't think we're alone to say like, what does that mean? I don't know what that means. I mean, I'm not suggesting this is the case because Amazon has never said this, but I mean, there's some data center providers that are doing on-site generation. There are like I think there's a couple different ways. One like natural gas. That has not been proposed. And I guess in my mind, 2031 is the earliest that Amazon could be doing anything. So probably one of the reasons I haven't been like focusing that much on it in the past 9 months, because Amazon hasn't been talking to us, and they're like any big company. They want to hurry up and wait. And yeah, they bought the land for an extremely high price. They're paying. By the way, I looked at the tax bill the other day. I think they're paying for just the Glen Hale farm, just an increase in tax value, changing the zoning. It was paying maybe like $5,000 a year, and now it's around $200,000 a year from based on my memory. So I mean, it is starting to generate a little bit of a return, even though there's nothing there.
And the schools are involved as well, right? With regard to a agreement.
Right. Yeah, the schools, in a perfect world, I don't know if anybody will go on record and say this from the schools, but they would love businesses and no houses more than anything, probably. But that's, I mean, even with the tax exemption, I think what you're referring to, we have a school compensation agreement,
right?
Which is there's pilot payments or payments in lieu of taxes that pay a percentage of their tax bill. I mean, if you think of, I'm just going to use my hands for a second. I think I did this demonstration, Jessica, you were there with the school district when we talked about this, but I mean, $2 billion is like this. Our biggest investment in Sunbury's history ever on a single site was $100 million and it was the high school in Prairie Run Elementary. So like $2 billion on 200 acres, even once tax exempted, is 87.5%. To get into the weeds just for a second, that's $250 million worth of taxable value that is paying more money than any other company. I mean, virtually all of the companies combined in Sunbury, one company would be paying the same amount for the exempted period. And then once the exemptions fall out and fall off, it's we're going to be dead, but the kids in the future will be happy, I think, as long as we're not doing health and harm issues. Right. So we're going to look into that.
I have a question about the cooling. Isn't it possible, and I know you said you haven't spoken with Amazon in a while, so you may not know, but aren't there other options besides cooling using water?
I've heard that.
Would Amazon maybe be open to that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the answer to that. We'll certainly, press them a little bit more on that. I will say though, as we talked through this early on, I mean, we were asking them, are there alternative technologies that could be used at the site to reduce the water demands? And I will say that the water levels proposed or requested are substantially lower than what they originally talked about when they came in. I'm not saying that that's because they introduced new technology to do it. But yeah, I mean, that number has come down a little bit. I'm sure there are going to be new technologies in place that may, minimize that going forward. But yeah, that's not the commitment to us, at least at the moment.
By the way, any of the studies that Mr. Hennessy was referring to or engineering that we are doing, like we're tracking that. They're going to pay. If they ever develop anything, they're going to pay all of those incurred costs. Any other questions or comments?
There was a lot of talk about diesel and diesel generators, which I found interesting, knowing that that's not their primary source of electricity. Not quite sure as far as history goes with other data centers as a complaint around diesel fuel, how much there is, how much of a danger that is, or how much it's actually used.
Yeah.
And the humming, is that from the generators when they're running, or is there humming from something else? That's where just understanding that noise is.
Yeah, I think the humming is kind of a sort of a baseline noise that must be coming from these facilities. But I did do a little bit more research on the diesel on it because I thought the same thing when I heard it. I thought my conversations with them about the generators is that they're backup generators only. And when I as I researched kind of the diesel fuel issue happening around the country, it does sound like it's mostly when the backup generators come on, they're diesel fuel or diesel fueled generators, and that's causing this, emission into the air. I don't anticipate that that's a lot. I do think they test them once a week. But we will go back and talk to them more about that, though. I think that's something we want to make sure we understand a little bit more, because as we were working through the zoning code, I remember a discussion about when they could test the generators, and we were trying to limit the hours in which they did it so that it was sort of normal work hours during a work week. So again, they weren't going off in the middle of the night affecting people that way. So you've got the noise issue, but you've also got the diesel issues. So we'll press more on that one.
Is there any other noise exposures besides that we are aware of?
Not that I'm aware of.
I've looked a lot into this like humming issue. I don't know if that's from older data centers or what, but it seems like there's been like noise baffling technology that's been implemented on some of the noise. I'm not trying to defend AWS. I by any means, I don't know their business, but I do know we're going to research every single concern that was brought up, and we're going to make sure we have mitigating controls, as we say, in our zoning code to make sure that it is not a public nuisance. It does not deteriorate property values, does not harm people. Just
What
going
I
back to-
hear you saying really is that we want to get it right.
Well, yeah.
We all live in the city of Sunbury too, and our kids live here,
Right.
and we all want to get it right. And we're not rushing. We're not doing anything. I'm grateful that the city has put out when all of our meetings were. Everything has been done in public meetings. We're happy that folks are coming now. But I just think it's important to remember, like, we live here too, and we want to get it right too. I just want to say that because it's important. We want to get this right.
100%. Any other comments, questions? Anything from staff? Barry? Can you come, if you're gonna come up, can you come up to the microphone?
Well, all right. The humming is air conditioning.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, sir. Anything else? All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Second by Mrs. Cooper. Discussion? Roll call.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper.
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mrs. Crawford,
Yes.
Mr. Ghost,
Yes.
Mr. Long.
Yes.